Southwest Boxing Media in association with Brixton Street. We're delighted to be joined all the way from San Antonio with the tremendous Thomas Treiber. Thomas, how are you?
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. It's an honor to be with you here today. And I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome. We live in a bit of a crazy world at the moment. What's the restrictions like for you guys out in sunny Texas?
Well, it's, we're not on lockdown or anything like that, but, you got to wear the masks and pretty much everywhere you go. A lot of social distancing going on in the restaurants and, things like that. You could eat inside of a restaurant, but they've done a lot of renovating to make, it accommodating to this horrible virus. And, yeah, it's been a crazy 9 or 10 months. That's for sure.
Well, Frank, Thomas, sorry, over here in the UK, we're so used to seeing you work on the Frank Warren shows and the BT Sport shows, as we know it. Frank this week has announced a big fight for next month between Carl Frampton and Jamel Herring. We're assuming you're going to be involved in that show, Thomas. So just tell us, are you excited about that fight, mate, first of all?
I'll tell you what, Carl Frampton, I've had the honor of doing a few of Carl's fights. And, he has such great fan support. And he's such a great fighter. And it's always an honor to introduce him inside the ring. And, the fights we've done with him in Belfast have just been, amazing, the fans that come out. So I'm not sure what the status is going to be for this one. It doesn't sound like we'll be having fans yet. But nonetheless, it's going to be, tremendous to see Carl back in action. I know they were supposed to fight last year and then they were shooting for even early February, but February 27th, it sounds like it's on.
Awesome, mate. Well, we'll cross our fingers, I think, for that one.
Yes, exactly. You got to roll with the punches, as they say these days. No pun intended.
Definitely. Coming on to you, Thomas, considering your involvement in boxing over the years, are you a massive boxing fan? Do you have a massive passion for the sport?
Growing up, I was a casual boxing fan. I was actually more of a professional wrestling fan as a teenager and growing up. But it was in my late teens that I started ring announcing. And I was actually 17. I was a senior in high school. I was just looking for an opportunity to get involved in broadcasting or behind a microphone, any way I could. Back then, there weren't podcast shows or, things like that. So I looked at ring announcing as, wow, just an opportunity to get some experience. And as soon as I started ring announcing professional boxing, I fell in love with it. And I started following the sport, very closely. So at this stage of my life, I would certainly consider myself a great boxing fan. I don't get to watch sometimes as much as I would. And a lot of times I miss fights because I'm working that particular night. But I'll go on YouTube or on social media just to find any footage I can so that I could keep up on all the fights going on.
I mean, as we said, Thomas, you've become such a familiar face to us now over here in the UK.
And I'm sorry about that. Very sorry about that.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. Okay. And obviously you are a familiar face, but just tell us, how did the opportunities first come about for you to attend the UK shows and start working on the UK shows? I believe you were working on the Hennessy Sports shows for quite a while. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where I did my first event in the UK. It was December of 2008, and it was actually in Nottingham, England, Trent FM Arena. Main event was Carl Froch versus John Pascal. It was Carl's first world title fight, and the pro debut that night of Tyson Fury.
No
he was
way.
our opening That's right. He was our opening TV fight. I was quite impressed by his stature. But at that stage, you're not sure yet. You're not sure. He had some great amateur pedigree, but that doesn't always mean a guy's going to become a world champion. But he certainly had great potential, and Mick Hennessy had nothing but the greatest confidence in Tyson from the very, very beginning. So I give him a lot of credit, for having, the vision he had with Tyson Fury early in his career. But basically, I was home one day and my phone rang. It was actually like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it was the week of that fight. So I got a call and they said, can you be on a plane, in 24 hours to go to England and do this world title fight? And I jumped on the opportunity. I never thought I would ever have the opportunity to ring announce in England, and let alone do a world title fight there. So it was a tremendous opportunity. And at that stage, Mick Hennessy had just started doing a series on ITV4. So they were doing one a month on ITV4. After I did that show, he said, well, would you like to come back next month? I said, I sure would. And it turned into a very steady gig for a couple of years there. And I'm very thankful for that, because it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me in the UK. And it really put me on the map in boxing there, because for years I was doing fights in the United States. And I know that, some of our shows, like the series Showbox on Showtime, which I'll actually be doing January 20th coming up here. I know that was being picked up by Box Nation and things like that. So I was getting some visibility there, but to be on a UK network was a great opportunity.
Definitely, mate.
Definitely.
We often speak about fighters, sacrificing sort of family time, when they are traveling around the world. Yep. It's sort of like a parallel to you, really. Do you have to, obviously, you must have to sacrifice a lot of family time as well, considering you fly to the UK a lot. Is that quite difficult for you?
It can be challenging. There's no doubt about it. My wife, she's been incredibly supportive throughout our marriage with me having to travel. She understands that, that's just part of the job. But with that said, thankfully, because of today's technology like FaceTime, you're able to stay more connected, as opposed to years ago where people would have to travel for business and, just stay in touch via a cell phone. I'm sorry, a pay phone or a hotel room phone. But like with the events I did last year, I ended up doing 7 events with BT Sport before we finished up 2020. And I ended up spending over 90 days in the UK. God bless my wife. She put up with it, but we FaceTimed a lot and we stayed in touch. So, you just do what you can do. But that definitely is, something most people probably don't think about. They see you on television, but they don't realize that you're sacrificing a lot of time away from home.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thomas, we want to, while we're talking about your career, we want to ask you about some of the most standout moments and memories of your career so far. So what we're going to do, we're going to fire some questions over to you, mate, and just see what answers you come up with it for it. I mean, the first one, for example, we've got the most memorable entrance you remember from a fighter that you introduced to the ring.
Wow. Well, I would have to say Tyson Fury's return after his layoff. We were in Manchester Arena, and, it was just electrifying, to see Tyson Fury come back. We all missed him. It was such a, sad time to see him not be able to continue after winning the world title against Klitschko. But, the crowd went crazy. He always has those entertaining ring walks. And that night it was, just a little bit extra special. And he looked relaxed as ever. You wouldn't know he was out of the ring for as long as he was. But that was certainly a very memorable ring entrance.
What about, is it a particular standout fight? It can be in the UK or the US that you remember for the right or the wrong reasons?
Yeah, it's for me, really those fights or those events that really stand out to me are usually like that first time working in England, or that first time working on HBO or Showtime or ESPN, or, things like that. And, I'm hitting 30 years this year as a ring announcer. I started in 1991 at 17 years of age. I'm now 47. So 2021 is 30 years for me. So there's been a lot of great fights I've seen. And I'm hoping that carries over into 2021, and I'm sure it will. But I'll tell you, we talked a little bit earlier about Carl Froch versus John Pascal. That was a great fight right there. And then we mentioned Carl Frampton earlier when he fought Josh Warrington. That was a tremendous fight as well. And of course, Josh got the win there that night.
I remember, Thomas, sorry to interrupt you. I remember that first round of that fight. It was like, wow, what's going on here?
I know. I mean, if you weren't sitting on the edge of your seat, you know, and you didn't have the goosebumps, you're not a boxing fan, you know. Yeah. And of course, Josh, he has that great ring entrance, music, with the Leeds United song and all that stuff. So it just adds so much excitement. And the fans, by the way, in the UK, and I'm not just saying this because you're there, but I mean, you can't touch it. I mean, it's just amazing when they start singing Sweet Caroline and, and all that stuff. It sets the stage, for that main event. And it's just awesome for me as a ring announcer to be there in the middle of the ring and get to absorb all that excitement. It's awesome.
Well, that brings us nicely on to the next question, really, because I was going to say to you, I mean, what about the most passionate fans? It's probably difficult. I'm sure there's so many you can pick from. But again, either in the UK or out there in the States, is there a state, a city or town that stands out to you for having the most passionate boxing fans?
Here in the States? I mean, it's there's great boxing fans here in the United States as well. I mean, without a doubt. Texas, where I live, they love their boxing here. It's populated by a lot of Hispanics here. And, we've had a lot of big fights here with Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya. So, when they fight, the fans come. And, but with that said, I'm actually a native of the Chicago area. So I actually grew up in Chicago, and the fans in Chicago also love their boxing. So, it's really, certainly there are some states that don't seem to come and embrace the sport, but there's great boxing fans. I mean, New York City, Madison Square Garden, New York. Especially the big fights. But what I find really cool about the UK is even if you're not a world champion, let's say you're a Commonwealth champion or, something of that nature, the fans still embrace you like you're a world champion. Yeah. We're here in the United States. If you're not a world champion, you just don't really get that recognition that sometimes fighters deserve.
What about a night to possibly forget? Recently we saw some MCs getting names wrong and calling out the wrong fighter's name at the end. Has that ever happened to you? Has there ever been a disaster moment or not?
Well, unfortunately, human error does occur. Recently I was actually doing, it was on one of our BT sports shows actually, and I think it was our first televised fight. And I don't know if you've noticed, but with the COVID restrictions, the MC in the UK has to be outside the ring.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So which you feel like a fish out of water. I mean, I'm used to being in the center of the ring. You're looking at the fighters as you introduce them. So to be outside the ring, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm hoping that we can get back to working in the ring sometime soon. But the downside of that is that you're not able to have communication with the referee because you're not in the ring. So we had a situation where there was some miscommunication, and I was told the wrong winner by the British Boxing Board of Control. And when I introduced the winner, it was actually a 4-round fight where the referee scored it. So there wasn't 3 judges, it was just the referee. Well, when I was told the score and the winner, unfortunately the British Boxing Board of Control person told me the wrong winner. And then he had to go back over and talk to the referee, who said, no, this is the winner right here. So wasn't my fault. But unfortunately for an MC, people at home, they often don't know that it wasn't your fault.
You're just the guy with the mic, I suppose, aren't you?
What's that?
I said, you're just the guy with the mic announcing. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Don't kill the messenger. but look, the British Boxing Board of Control, they are incredible professionals. I don't have a bad thing to say about them. Things are going to happen, but that was one instance where I announced the wrong way. And that hasn't happened in years. I mean, that hasn't happened to me in years. Now, you're not to say that I haven't made any mistakes in years, but announcing a wrong winner, that hasn't happened to me in a long, long time. And
Thomas, I hope we're not going to jinx you for that next show now, mate. I hope you're not going to do that.
I know. But look, I hope not. But I have a story that's even better than that. Very early in my career, I was doing a fight on ESPN. It was my second time on national TV, and the fight gets stopped. So my first reaction is to grab my microphone, go inside the ring, go to the timekeeper, get the time of the stoppage. And as I turn around with my microphone and I just got the time of the stoppage, I turn around, the floor director is signaling me to announce the decision. So right away, I start announcing it. But as I'm saying the time and the round that I was just told, I realize I don't have my card and I don't know the fighter's name who just won. So it's not like, it's not like it's a, world title fight where who both fighters are. It's kind of a lower level fight. So as I'm saying the time, I'm kind of like already into it. The official time, 2 minutes, 25 seconds of round number 4, your winner by technical knockout. And I have my microphone here and I just lower my microphone a little bit and I kind of lean over to the boxer and I say, "What's your name?" And he tells me his name. He only tells me his first name. And he says Chavez, and his full name is Chavez Francisco, but he just says Chavez. And I go, "Chavez." And I was like, oh my God. But here's the problem. When I said, "What's your name?" I didn't bring my microphone down low enough. So it actually kind of got heard on the microphone. So you heard me say, "What's your name?" Like that. And people giggled in the audience and I was on camera too. So it's not like I was off camera. I was on camera.
So you didn't do it discreetly. It was there for everyone to see.
Everybody, I was on
That's
camera.
Got to be on YouTube somewhere, Keith. That's got to be on YouTube.
I'm sure it is because it ended up on blooper tapes. It was on talk shows. There's a famous talk show host named David Letterman. I was on the David Letterman show. They showed my blooper on there. I was the laughing stock of the country as a ring announcer. I thought my career was over. Now, remind you, this is like 1995, and I'm about about 22 years old, and this is my second time on TV. So I thought my career was over. I said, that's it. They're never going to call me again. I goofed up on live TV, live. And thankfully, the promoter was nice enough to say, "Hey, look, you made an honest mistake, but you carried yourself very well." So my advice to anybody who makes a mistake on television, keep your composure and still handle it like a professional. I didn't slam my microphone down on the ring. I didn't scream. I just bit my tongue and held my composure, and they welcomed me back. And here I am all these years later. I've never forgot my card ringside again.
Oh, that's a great story, that is. Thanks for sharing that. That's great.
Yeah.
The next one we've got for you, Thomas, is, has there ever been a time where you've met somebody from within the boxing world where you've been maybe slightly starstruck by them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had quite a few. I was in a gift shop one day. I was there for an event in California, and I just look over and Julio Cesar Chavez is standing right behind me with a bag of potato chips. And I was like, wow, the legendary Julio Cesar Chavez, and I said hello to him, very briefly. He doesn't speak much English. I just said a brief hello, but that was pretty surreal, to see Julio Cesar Chavez. I was in the presence of Muhammad Ali, but I'd never met him, but I saw him from a distance. And of course, that was an incredible moment. I was in Las Vegas and he was there to actually see Muhammad Ali in person. I've met Mike Tyson now several times, even ring announced for when he was promoting some events back in maybe about 10 years ago or so. But, you know, that was cool too, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's one of the perks of being in the business to get to see and meet some of the legends and fighters that you admired, you know, for many years.
What about an event? So if you could choose maybe any boxing event from, you know, from the past, maybe the Thrill in the Manila, maybe the Rumble in the Jungle, is there any event you think, oh, do you know what? If I could choose anyone, I would love to have emceed that fight. Is there one that sticks out for you?
Wow, that's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I mean, any mega fights out there, you know, when there's that fight that, you know, the entire world is going to watch, you know, that's quite amazing. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the sport of boxing is that, you know, the entire world are boxing.
The world, isn't it, sometimes?
The world, you know, it's, I mean, okay, so we have Major League Baseball here that's very popular, but you probably don't know the second baseman for the New York Yankees, you know, or much about baseball at all. And you know, and just vice versa for me. You know, I love soccer. I played soccer, or football, as you call it. But, you know, I'm not an avid football fan. So there might be a player from the Manchester United sitting right next to me, and I wouldn't know, you know?
Yeah.
But boxing, one time my late brother-in-law, unfortunately he passed away, my sister's husband, he was in the military and he was in Japan. And at the time he was just engaged to my sister. And he said, "You're not going to believe this." I goes, "I'm in a restaurant and your brother's on TV here in Japan." And, you know, I remember when my sister called and told me that, I thought, man, you know, that's amazing. The reach, you know, that boxing has, you know, and so, I mean, really, to answer that question, it would be any big time mega. And I mean, I think the heavyweight fights are always the ones that are kind of put at the top of the pedestal. So I don't know where the cards are going to fall when, and hopefully Fury fights Joshua, but boy, that would be, you know, an amazing dream come true to do a heavyweight world title fight in the UK, especially with Tyson Fury, who I've, you know, known for so many years, doing his debut. And I think I dare say maybe even his first 10 fights, you know, I did. And then of course, a couple of his fights when he returned. So any big mega fight would be a dream fight for me. But I'm thankful every time I get to work, you know.
I mean, looking at 2021 now and the year ahead, Thomas, I mean, unfortunately, there are unprecedented times, they're difficult times that the world is in. But I mean, are there any sort of personal ambitions and dreams that you now hold for the year ahead?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've always got things I want to improve on and things of that nature. And as you nailed it on the head, we live in so much uncertainty right now. In fact, I'm preparing now to leave for Connecticut. I'm going to be ring announcing for the Showtime Network on Wednesday, January 20th, for the series Showbox: The New Generation. And I'm going to have to do a couple of COVID tests before I even get to do that event. So, and even when I was in England for Frank Warren this past year, you don't really know you're doing that show until you pass your COVID test. So it certainly leaves you feeling a little bit of anxiety because, you know, back in the day, you're like, "Oh, I'm booked on that show. I'll be doing that show," you know, but now you're thinking going, "Well, I got to pass the COVID test. I got to do this. I got to do that," you know? So, you know, my goal is just to stay positive and, you know, try and stay as busy as I can under the circumstances, because unfortunately there's a lot of promoters I typically work for throughout the year that are unable to promote because they live off the ticket sales. They need the ticket money to do their events. So if you're a promoter who's not getting television money or big time sponsor money, your hands are really tied. You know, it's really difficult to promote an event. So I'm really hoping that things can get under control. Hopefully this vaccine will make a big difference this year, and that the smaller promoters and even the amateur fighters are hurting. they're not getting that opportunity. I mean, the sport is hurting because the amateur fighters, our fighters of the future, are not getting the stage that they need right now to gain that valuable experience to perhaps move up the ranks to the professionals. So for me, you know, I just want to, you know, I've got a wonderful family. I've got a stepdaughter. She's 8 years old. My beautiful wife and I are celebrating our 2-year anniversary coming up here in a couple of weeks. So
congratulations, mate.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to spend as much quality time as I can with my family and be as busy as I can with doing what I love, which is ring announcing.
Yeah, well said, mate. Thomas, finally, just before we leave you go, mate, we've got a bit of a favour we need to ask you.
Okay.
Myself and Scott were saying we couldn't have an MC, a ring announcer such as yourself on without asking you to do a special something for us. Now, as the intro to our videos, there's a little line that we've got to say. Scott did say it at the beginning. Now, we were just wondering, would you be kind enough to do that line for us in your typical MC voice? Would that be okay?
I would be honored. I would be honored. Let's do it.
That's fantastic. Well, basically, the line that we would like you to say would be, you were watching Southwest Boxing Media in association with Brixton Streetwear.
Okay. And that was Southwest
Boxing Media.
Boxing Media. In association?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Brixton Streetwear.
Brixton, and that's Brixton?
Yeah, Brixton.
Streetwear. Streetwear. Okay.
That's it, mate.
All right. Anytime?
Go for
I'm
it,
excited,
mate.
I'm excited.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived. You are watching Southwest Boxing Media in association with Brixton Streetwear.
Oh, mate.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, Thomas, on behalf of myself and Ciaran, we just had to say, you know, thank you so much for your time today. We really do wish you all the best for 2021. And we hope to see and hear you on our TVs into the future as well, mate.
Well, Scott and Ciaran, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity for having me on the program. Thank you for reaching out. You guys are great. And I wish you both the very best in this new year as well. Thank you very much.
Wicked.
Thank you for
Cheers,
that, Thomas.
Thomas.
Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Take care. God bless.
See you soon.